The next question will be for Matt Love. The NDP has proposed a plan to enhance safety in Saskatchewan, which includes hiring more local police officers, investing in mental health and addiction services, and targeting organized crime and drug traffickers. It sounds expensive and would require a multi-ministry approach to implement. Mr. Love, how would an NDP government pay for this comprehensive plan? And what specifically will you do to coordinate efforts and resources within government to make a measurable impact on crime and safety in Saskatchewan?
Yeah, thanks for the question. It's a great one, and I think it points to a lot of the concerns that people across our province have. I'll remind those of us here and viewing today that we've had the Saskatchewan Party government for 17 years. We have the highest rates of crime in the entire country and the highest rates of violent crime. So if they want to point the finger at anyone else, I would suggest that they take responsibility and look inwards at their own decisions. Now, we need to be tough on crime in this province, and we need to be tough on the causes of crime, and that's exactly what our platform will do. We're going to start by scrapping the $20 million Marshal Service. Now, this is a new police force introduced by the Saskatchewan Party without any consultation with existing police forces, without any consultation with municipal leaders. And in fact, the RCMP have come out against this force. They recognize that this will not improve community safety in our province. And over 100 municipalities have also expressed their displeasure with this policy and how it came about. So the Saskatchewan NDP is certainly not alone. What we will do is we'll take that $20 million that's already in the provincial budget and we'll split it in half, with half of that going towards frontline police officers like the RCMP and our local Saskatoon Police Service and other municipal police services. We'll take the other half and we'll invest that into mental health supports. We know that so much of what our frontline officers are dealing with are mental health challenges by folks in our communities. So we need to get tough on crime. We need to get tough on the root causes of crime. Now, we're also, as your question mentioned, going to go after drug traffickers and organized crime with an unexplained wealth task force. And we're going to introduce a rebate plan so that individuals and small businesses can access subsidies for things like alarms, cameras, and other security equipment to enhance security and safety in our communities.
Thank you. Mr. Harrison, you now have 1 minute to rebut.
Yeah, no, appreciate that. I'm very proud of the record of this government in hiring new police officers. There are either in place right now or in the process of being in place 500 more police officers, 100 new municipal police officers, 14 new SCAN officers, Safer Communities and Neighborhoods, dedicated officers. 192 new RCMP positions have been funded since 2011, and we're adding, even in addition to that, another 180 RCMP positions as well. And we're adding a new Marshal Service here in Saskatchewan, and the NDP have been very, very critical of that, but only the NDP could say, well, we're going to cut 70 officers, but we're going to buy you doorbell cameras, and somehow that will make up for it. It won't. People in Meadow Lake know firsthand that is not the solution. We need more police on the streets. We need effective laws as well. And I would say every time we have moved forward with tougher criminal justice measures, the NDP have opposed that every single step of the way and voted against it.
Thank you. Mr. Love, final 30 seconds.
If the Sask Party wanted more officers in our communities, they would scrap the Marshal Service too, because the only place that they're going to recruit from is from our existing services. They've already spent nearly $20 million on the Marshals, and there's not a single pair of boots on the ground protecting our communities. So if he actually wanted to achieve those outcomes that he talked about, he would listen to frontline officers, those who oppose this plan in the RCMP, and municipal leaders. He would listen to them, scrap the Marshals, and invest that money in more officers in our communities.
Thank you, gentlemen. And the next question is for Mr. Harrison. We're going to stay on this theme of public safety. Indeed, the Sask Party has recently announced $17 million in funding for public safety, including resources for municipalities to hire 100 new police officers. Now, the Sask Party has also identified homelessness, addictions, and mental health as priorities, and has acknowledged that much more needs to be done. So the question's about that much more. Mr. Harrison, what specific commitments is the Sask Party making to prioritize crime prevention and mental health and addictions treatment to address crime in public public safety?
Right. Well, I would say, one of the initiatives we have moved forward with is 500 new addictions treatment beds, and I give Matt credit in pointing to that as really being one of the core challenges as far as criminal activity. It is around addictions. It's around mental health issues. And because of that, we have put forward very, very significant resources into this space that are going to create the conditions for those who have unfortunately fallen into a life of addictions to recover. And there have been some really interesting discussions around what the best path for that forward is going to look like as we move forward into the future, how these resources can be best allocated as we move forward into the future. But obviously having in place the physical infrastructure as far as the facilities, the beds, the staff, that is a very, very significant and important part of the investment. And that's absolutely why we made it. As far as some of the root causes of crime as well, I mean, there are some folks that just need to be put in jail. Habitual criminals, those who are let out now on bail constantly. And part of the answer to that question is getting rid of Justin Trudeau. And I think we've all heard Pierre Poilievre talk about jail, not bail. We need criminal justice reform. We need those who are habitual criminals who are arrested 30 or 40 times in a week to actually not be back out on the street again in a couple of days. And I'll tell you who has been the biggest supporter of the bail provisions has been the NDP, who have consistently supported Justin Trudeau, have kept Justin Trudeau in power, but who have enthusiastically supported the criminal justice changes that were made from the time period of the Harper government to the Trudeau-Singh government that have really put a lot more criminals onto the street, not in jail. We need to change those criminal laws to make sure that those who are committing crimes are punished accordingly. That is a big part of this. In addition to that, we need to make sure that resources exist for those who have fallen into a life of addictions, have the opportunity for recovery.
Mr. Love, 1 minute in reply.
Well, it sounds like Jeremy might want to go back to his old job of being a federal MP because he wants to talk as much as he can today about federal issues. But here in Saskatchewan, after 17 years of the Saskatchewan Party, we have the highest crime rates in the country and the highest violent crime rates in the entire country. We need the kind of leadership that will not pass the buck, blame other people, point fingers here or there, but take responsibility for a situation and get to work to make the situation better. I haven't heard that yet from my colleague today. After 17 years, they don't seem to have a lot of new ideas of what we need to do, and the ones that they do have, they came out with right before the election was called. So my question to my colleague here today, why did you wait for an election to talk about reducing crime rates and actually face the record that the Saskatchewan Party has developed here of having the highest crime rates in the whole country? Why wait till now to start talking about this?
And Mr. Harrison, 30 seconds.
Yeah, well, look, adding 500 police officers to the NDP might say, well, that's just happening now. It's not happening now. We've added 190 additional RCMP officers over the last number of years, and they voted against it. They voted against it every single opportunity that they had. We've added new provisions within the Safer Communities and Neighborhood Act, for example. They voted against that. Their approach has always been to hug a thug. That is not our approach. We need to put these folks in jail who need to be in jail and into a recovery bed who can be in a recovery bed.